Hi there, my name is Michelle Nicolo Prentice, and you're listening to Mama's Lullaby podcast, where we celebrate you and your journey to and through motherhood, the good, the hard, and the scary, giving you a place to be nurtured and mothered. You deserve it. Welcome. Hey guys, it's Michelle. Please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe so we can keep you up to date on all the latest podcasts. Hi, my name is Michelle Nicolo Prentice, and welcome to my kitchen and my friends and Mama's Lullaby podcast. I am so excited to have you join us today. We have my dear friend, an incredible writer, singer, songwriter, mind, comic, you name it, Mike Reid. He wrote 3 songs on this project with me, and then my adopted son, BJ, aka Kevin Jennings, who is my host for Mama's Lullaby. And you may wonder why I'm having my son be the host of Mama's Lullaby, but why don't you explain why that is?
I think you ran out of options 1, 2, and 3.
No, that's not true at all.
When we got option 4, I was like, well, I'm like, okay, sure.
Not even true.
That's how I met my wife. You know that. So I went to preschool with Leah, and then a guy she wanted to go to Valentine's Day banquet with in high school didn't ask her out.
Oh.
And then she said, hey, because you're my friend, will you take me anyway? So that's actually how my first day with my wife, I was a backup plan.
That worked out pretty well.
So exactly. So I've learned when you're a backup plan, you say yes. And so with that being said, hey, welcome to the podcast. Our goal here is really simple. We have 2 goals for you. 1, we want to celebrate you and every mother and their journey through motherhood. We don't care how you got into motherhood. We don't. We just know that your journey is worthy of being celebrated and acknowledged. You are literally molding our society with the young lives that you're creating, but more importantly, we know there's a lot of sacrifice involved, and we want to honor who you are and what you do every single day. Things that may go unseen and uncelebrated, this is a place where we'll be celebrated.
That's right.
The second thing is we want to give you, as a mother, a place to be nurtured and mothered. So, ta-da, we've given you another mother that you can enjoy, a person who just sees you and says, I love you and I want to put my arms around you. Yeah. Now, in all honesty, I'm here because I just care about this woman a whole lot, and I care about you as well. And I want to make sure that I can use my ignorance as an asset, because I'll ask really good questions because of how little I know about motherhood. But I do find it really cool, because I got a chance to meet Mr. Reid before, when we first did like a private party show with the Mama's Lullaby. But I find it really cool that Mike and then Chris Roberts, to meet and Marcus Hammond, to meet 3 men who contributed so greatly to this project. And I'm just going to sound very much like a man to say this, but I think it's really cool that you have found not just incredible writers and artists, but incredible men who have within them such a well of empathy and compassion for women that they could come alongside you and you look and say, this I am proud of, and it reflects my journey as a mother and so many other mothers, and yet so many men were invited to the table to contribute. So I think it's a really beautiful element, actually, of what it looks like for men to come alongside mothers 100%. And support them. So that's another side theme. So way to go, Mike. You're an awesome guy.
Oh, thank you, BJ.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I should say, though, I'm a little reticent to take the credit you're giving me. When Michelle called me about this, the first thing I thought was, first of all, world-class singer. I do not say that lightly. Anyone who has ever heard her sing, there is no better singer on the planet. So to have an opportunity to be part of something that you make that will come out of her, right? As a writer, yeah. Then the other part, BJ, was the fact that I knew Michelle was interested in, what do I want to say? The psychological component of this, the emotional component of this. There were no market pressures. No, we're going to go into a room and we're going to try to find how to express something that a young mother who's struggling might feel. and how is there a way we can find those ideas that might express that and alleviate that. So at that point, and she is so, she's such a rascal. She is so, she would say,
a nice way to put it, Mikey.
whether you write all the time or not, but she brought these beautiful ideas into the room. And then it was a matter of, once, that's the difficult, BJ, of writing, is finding out what you mean to say. Once you have that, you roll up your sleeves and go to work. And it's grunt work until you've aligned the words with the melody and the harmonic structure that says, yes, this is the hill we'll die on. This is what we'll go to, we'll defend. Whether it's any good or not, we don't make that decision. Right. We just look at it and say, we wouldn't change anything of this. This is what we mean.
And it was very much like labor. In a way, there's a lot of pacing. There was a lot of pacing back and forth, right?
Well, for me, there was. There certainly was. No, but because I like BJ, as a writer, BJ, I like to move. I don't like to sit. Yeah. I like to get up and sometimes when your body is in movement or you bounce a ball against the wall, it distracts that part of your brain that is in the way.
I love it.
Yeah, it distracts that part of your brain that's in the way. Yeah. I
was saying to Amy how when I got this idea to do this, which I believe was a divine appointment to do, and I'd get people's names to call, and how, because I hadn't been writing at all, that I probably, if it had been my idea, I would have been intimidated to come and write with such amazing Grammy Award-winning writers, generally speaking. But I wasn't intimidated at all because I knew, everybody was so amazing. I knew that they had the skill, and I just wanted to bring my idea, and you helped me do this. And it was just exactly like that.
Well, I first of all, the Grammy Award-winning is an illusion. It's a pure illusion when it comes to writing.
I know, but it's I understand what you're saying, but still.
Look, T.S. Eliot in the Four Quartets, one of my favorite collections of poetry, said, one only gets the better, this is almost a quote, one only gets the better of words for the thing one no longer has to say, or the way in which we're disposed to say it. So every beginning is a kind of, we're pushing off the dock into the fog.
Right, true.
The minute you're writing what you know how to write, you're not discovering anything. I think creativity is less about what you do. Forgive me for inserting my opinion in this, but is less what you do and more what you discover.
Ooh.
So the minute you know what you're going to do, you're building something, you're making something that perhaps will be useful, but it's less likely you're going to discover anything.
Yeah, I think that's what's special about this project, is that we really, we weren't trying to write a hit song.
That I got to tell you, before you got me into this, Michelle, that was the big attraction for me. That was the big attraction. We're not going to try to write a hit song.
And I wondered if that would be a downside, because like writers, they make their living by having hit songs. I'm like, well, who's going to want to take their time to write this stuff? But I didn't really, think, I thought about that for like a second, and then I didn't really.
Yeah, I'm sure, I can think of a number of people, and they're friends of mine, that would have felt that way.
Yeah.
That if, I don't see any economic upside in this, well, then that's fine, and move on.
Yeah, well, God didn't lead me to any of those people, so there you go.
Yeah, well, first of all, two things. I love the comparison. I love the connection of creativity is discovery. Is more than it is. The exact phrase says more than not the knowing, it's the discovering.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm a nerd, so I look at the definition of creativity, and it just is the ability to create. Right, and so more than it is innovation. It's not about novelty. It's actually just the ability to create, right? And I think,
which, right, BJ, everybody has.
We all have.
Everybody has.
And I think that, and I think that I love the comparison between the creative process and creating a child, right? Like here, the ability to create literally is woven into the, you know, the literal physiology and
Yep.
anatomy of a woman in many ways, right? And this ability to create and how that all comes out. And so I think it's really cool that for many of you, you might feel like your whole process of motherhood, you might feel this pressure to have knowing.
Yeah.
And we're saying your creativity is going to be through the discovering.
Discovery.
And so
It's
you
lovely.
get to come into this saying, I get to discover. And we actually had a really great episode, Mike. We had a great interview where we had two mothers just telling us how much they have learned about themselves as through those initial 3 to 5 years of a child's life. Like, I thought I was gonna be learning about motherhood, and all I did was learn about me.
Yeah.
Right? This mirror reflecting back at me, this discovering of oneself. And I think it's really cool. So today we're gonna talk about the song That's All I Know, which is the first song you two wrote together.
That's correct.
For the Mama's Lullaby project. So just take us into the idea that you went to Mike with that kind of started the premise for this particular song.
Okay.
Do you remember?
I do remember.
You do?
Do you?
Because usually, a lot of times, BJ, I, as a songwriter, will start with a title. I don't think we started with a title.
We did
on
not
this.
start with that. We started with, each song I had a subject matter I wanted to write about. And this
Right.
song I wanted to write about, remember I told you that after I had my babies, I always felt this odd sense of missing them while they were on the outside of me. I felt lonely. I felt, it was so odd. It was probably postpartum depression is more so probably what it was. But also you're so used to having them inside of you and then they're there, but it's like, it's so strange. Why do I feel like I miss you? You're right here. And that's kind of how we started, was sort of that oddness about, that feeling that I would get every time after I had a baby. And so in the lyric where we wrote, I'll just read the first verse.
Sure.
Okay. A gentle rain outside my window. The moon is full and the night is clear. Feeling lost and feeling lonely. How can that be when you're right here? I was so sure before you came here. I was so sure I knew it all. But now that you've come, nothing's the same here. How strange and new to feel so small. The stars above you will come and go. I'm here to love you, and that's all I know. And that the stars above you, that is such a Mike Reid line. It's just so beautiful. He's so poetic. Like, the way he speaks, and I learned so much writing with you.
Really?
Yes, I learned how like I was saying things, and you're like, but just the way you say something, how you think, it was very educational and fascinating.
That's extraordinarily flattering, but
No, the stars above you will come and go. I mean, come on, that's so beautiful. I'm here to love you. That's all I know. Hello. And that's how, that is sometimes, that's all you know. I love you. I don't know anything else. And every time I sing this song, I literally start crying. I have to be really careful because I think about my kids. And I think about the trials and tribulations they have or having or going through or I've had with them. And I think, at the end of the day, all I really want is for them to know I love them. And all I want to do is love them. And the differences we may have.
that's my daughter's Katie, and she has a 2.5-year-old. And Gracie she is transcendent. That's all I'll say about her. But I'm the grandfather, for Pete's sake.
The best.
Being a grandparent, I find out, as a friend said to me not long ago, is the one thing in life not overrated.
I agree 100%.
Right.
You guys will get there one day and you will just be like, so,
And BJ,
this is so
when
awesome.
your baby has a baby,
Yeah.
You go, boy, does the lens ever get wide. But I say to her, she relent no matter what. And Gracie is so original and such a beautiful, but she's full of original energy. And I say to my daughter, just default to love. Constantly, relentlessly default to love. That doesn't, nothing needs fixed.
Right.
It doesn't need fixed, but that takes care of a lot, I think.
It does.
And I'm an old man now, And it took me a long time to learn.
But that's the point of Mama's Lullaby. This whole bigger picture is that you have wisdom in the elders, the people who've lived the life already. There's a wisdom in that you came to it through living your life. You didn't have it when you were young.
Well,
right?
to BJ's beautifully pointing out, you come to that through one relentless discovery after another. And it is kind of, you know, long-term relationships are like inviting a witness into the discovery of yourself. You're gonna, which isn't always pretty.
No,
Right?
that's true.
Yeah, and if you're willing to hang in there with each other
Yeah.
through these discoveries, maybe you'll have something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Goodness gracious. Yeah,
This is who I write
Well,
with. This is
I'm-
what I'm talking about.
well, I'm just selfishly trying to make sure I remember these amazing people who are watching, because I'm ready to go down my own rabbit trail of questions. But there was one thing you said, Mike, that I want to turn into a question for both of you. You said, you know, at the end, just default to love. And you said that was something that took me a long time to discover.
Yeah.
And out of curiosity, this goes for both of you, you know, because I know you talk about, you know, when the kids were first born, I want to keep the house clean and I want to make sure the environment was perfect and I got to stick to what I know is how we do things. And I wish I spent more time with them and defaulted to love and just got to spend more time playing.
Yes.
What, for you, Mike, personally, was maybe the moment that light bulb fully came on? You might have been walking toward it for many years, I'm sure, and I'm sure, you know, anyone who's been in your presence for even 5 minutes can feel love. So I mean sincerely. So to me, I'm not imagining some man on the far extreme of the other side. But for you, when it cognitively, like, okay, all the others I'm trying to figure out,
Yeah.
I'm overcomplicating it. When did that light bulb moment come to you, if you can remember it?
BJ, I think it's, you know, if you look at the universe, one of the things you can say about the universe is it's love's long, slow process. And this was a long, slow process for me. Boy, to your point about not wanting, you got questions you want to ask. I have so many things I could say right now about my self-absorbed self when I was young. And the gifts, the relentless gifts that were given to me. I wasn't one that was all gung-ho about getting married or having children. And both things saved my life. They you know, without that, BJ, I would have been sitting in a room with the shades drawn, waiting in the dark, waiting for life to begin, right? Where family, you know, these interpersonal relationships, they grab you by the scruff of your self-absorbed neck and force you and rub your nose into life. You know, this is life. And guess what? It's not all pristine, you know, it's messy. It's like birth,
It is.
you know? It's not like, oh, here's the baby now, right?
It's not like TV.
No. So I've sensed, BJ, I don't think I'm avoiding your question, but it embarrasses me maybe to how recent it was that it was no question that I loved my wife and my children. That was what lived in me, but at what point do you really begin to see them?
Yeah.
When do you see them? See them as you are, questioning, struggling, loving, confused.
Yeah.
When do you see the people you love, really see them? You know you love them, but when do you see them? So it was somewhere in there. Usually it takes, I find, if you see them in crisis, you see them in pain in some way,
Yeah.
and that you can't fix,
Come on, talk to us.
that you can't fix.
Yeah.
So at that point, what are you going to do? You can
Yeah.
rail against the fates. You can throw a bunch of whiskey down your throat. You can do whatever, you know, or as we were talking with earlier, you can attempt to bring yourself into relationship with the suffering of the larger world, because the world is full of it. It's difficult being human, you know. And so BJ, I'm going to hedge here a little bit because it's kind of embarrassing, although I shouldn't be,
No.
Yeah, God.
at how recent this was for me.
Yeah.
To see that. Of course, one of the things I always said about my kids, I used to. They used to. My kids, Matt and Katie, were not kids that. They would rather I had spanked them than take them into the living room, have them sit on a couch and say, all right, God gave you a mouth and a brain, get them working. I'm not talking, let's go, you go. And an attempt to get them to talk their way into understanding what they did. If they were easy kids though. So I don't know if that's
No,
part of the answer
yeah.
or not, but it was so, they said, Dad, I wish you'd have just spanked us and gotten it over with, rather than sit in that living room for as long as it took until we started talking.
Yeah.
Sure.
What is that, BJ? It's self-discovery.
Yeah, for sure.
It can happen. And I think I'm still I'm well into old age now.
Sure.
And I'm discovering more now
Yeah.
than ever.
Yeah. Well, first of all, before I come back to you, Mom, I'll ask you the same question. Was there a moment in time for you where you sort of feel like the light bulb came on of like, I am making this so complicated. I need to just default to love.
Yeah, I think that came to me when I was dealing with my children's hurt from their childhood.
Yeah.
They felt that
man. You just took the breath out of me, girl.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I sure do. Yes, I do.
And when it comes down to, they're telling you what they need you to hear. And you want to justify your actions because they don't understand what was going on at that time, that you were trying to work 4 jobs and take care of this and that and the other. That doesn't matter. And what my daughter told me, she said, what I need you to do is listen to me and say, I'm sorry. And that's it. Because as soon as you start justifying it, you might as well not say you're sorry. So I've said this in other podcasts, I literally had to humble myself because, you want to explain to them, look, you were this age, I was 21 years old or whatever I was, dealing with a husband who had a drug and alcohol problem. You don't know what I was going through, right? But what I wanted was to have a deeper, better relationship with my kids. So I wanted to do what they needed. Mm-hmm. And that's where you go and defer to love. And you just go, oh, this is it. And then you work on yourself. You work on your own stuff.
And you know what I find too? My kids, and Maddie, my son, he's 40 and Katie's 36 and they have babies of their own. And so BJ, the light's going on off in their head.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now they're saying,
heck yeah.
Because I could say to them, it would be not possible for you to know the depth of your mother and my love for you. And those are just words.
Right.
Those are just words. But when they went, I see.
Yes.
I see what this is. What is this? This is, and from the grandparents' point of view, BJ, it was life insisting itself against the odds on being. That's what we're involved. We're involved in life is so fragile, but so powerful.
Yeah.
It insists on being, even sometimes against the odds.
Just like how he says this.
Yeah,
So
for
beautiful.
sure. That's powerful. I mean, I've already cheered a couple of times, but mainly because there's so much of what you're saying I identify with. And what I love about this topic, if we are all willing to listen, so any parents listen to this, but especially for the moms, of course, who this is for, this is going to sound really crazy for me to say this out loud, because I'm just strictly an observer I have a lot of friends who are having children in this season. And what I've observed is most of the new moms I love and care for, they enter into a bit of an identity crisis, right? Their whole life, they were told there was this magical, deep sense of purpose and meaning and clarity that would come from being a mom, which from everything I've heard from people like mom and the other guests we've had who are wiser, more experienced, and maybe a grandparent stage, it's true. They think it comes immediately, right? So here is my wisdom, my fulfillment, my meaning, and then I'm thrown into this season of I'm the last person on the list. The baby dictates my schedule. If I'm nursing, my body didn't allow me for 9 months, and now I might go another 2 years if I'm nursing, where someone else dictates even when I have to be awake, what I have to be doing with my time, and it is as an observer. The beautiful part as an observer and lover of mothers is you can almost see the beginning of the discovery. It's like you see the caterpillar literally for the first time trying to fight its way out of the cocoon. But I don't know if you've ever like seen a YouTube video. They tried to look inside of a cocoon to see what happens to a butterfly. It literally melts down to goo. Like it is not like, oh, and then they sprout wings. Like, like they actually like decompose down to goo.
So crazy.
And then rebuild as a completely new organism.
That's amazing.
And I think when you're watching motherhood up close as an observer who doesn't have to go through all the labor pain, you're like, oh my gosh, it's just so hard. And you're like, oh, look at her, she's fighting for everything, And as a man, you can't do anything about it, right? It's another helplessness with your wife. And you're like, I don't know what this feels like. I care about the caterpillar, and I can see what's happening, but it is like them being thrown into the discovery.
Yeah, thrown into.
It's like you see them thrown into it, and you're like, man, I can't do anything but witness the caterpillar struggle. If I cut open the cocoon, goo falls out and it dies.
Yeah.
And so we, as I would say, as husbands or as partners or as just friends and family members, we have to be quiet and watch the caterpillar fight its way out. And it's pretty hard, but I hope today you are, listening as a mom, that you hear from both, Mama Michelle here, but also from Mike. Like, it is the discovery. Like that's what feels like you being lost is actually you discovering who you really are.
When will people be able to see this? Because I want my daughter to experience the last 3 or 4 minutes of what BJ just said.
We'll just get
you
into it.
ministered to my daughter so much better than I ever could. I want my daughter to hear what BJ just
Your daughter
said.
will hear
Man,
it.
well, I and honestly, when I share these things publicly, I'm always sensitive because I recognize that I am a man, and there are things that I say to people like, no, I'm just, as a student of my wife, as a student of the many women in my life I care about, it makes me emotional. But it's only because you're sitting there like, you're trying to tell someone to fight when you don't have you're not in the ring. And you're like, you're just on the corner. And you're like, I'm your corner man.
Yeah.
I can cut you. I can grease you up. I can wipe the blood off your brow, but I cannot fight. And it is incredibly frustrating because you're not in the fight. You can see the punches coming. You're like, duck, for the love of God. Here's the left hook.
Without realizing, BJ,
know?
that if they don't duck, they got to learn something from getting hit like
exactly.
that.
Exactly, and you're like, and of course the roles reverse. Any partner, your partner's anything for you. They're telling you to duck, they're telling you to dodge, and you're missing the same blows.
Oh, sure.
Right? I mean, I'm thinking about the conversation my wife had with me this week about my daughter and our relationship with my 8-year-old. My wife's like, you got to duck. Like, hey, Kevin, you're squandering an opportunity here. Your daughter, because of your facial expressions, thinks you're angry with her. And it's affecting your connection with her because she always thinks you're mad at her. And I'm just like, it's just my face. But I can see it is true. It is. I can see the wedge forming where my daughter's afraid of me because of how I show up in my posture and my countenance. And I'm just like, I want so bad for her to know all the intensity within me flows from this place of overwhelming love for you, that I want to spare you or fight for you, and it looks like I'm fighting you. And I have to understand that, and I have to default to love. So the reason I got so emotional when hearing you speak was like, that is my journey right now, is how do I default to love in a way that is more evident to the recipient of that love?
That's, BJ, beautiful, beautiful question. When Matthew, who's 40, was born, I saw I have these hands, and I looked at his little hand, and he was big here, and I said, "Yeah, he's mine." And he immediately went to his mama's breast, and I had even in the midst of my selfishness at times, I had the presence of mind to look at that and say, I will love him, I'll feed him, clothe, protect him, teach him what I know, but I will never connect like that. I don't have. Nature does not intend us to.
No.
So the most we can do, BJ, is be the corner man.
That's right.
Which is a very important role. It's a very important role. Women, let me
We
say.
hope.
I try to tell myself something like you matter, hang in there, like hold her towel and be quiet.
Yeah.
No, but from a woman's perspective, a mother's, my perspective, okay? Because sometimes I think we can beat men up pretty hard. We can be pretty.
Really? Oh, come on.
I mean-
What a confession. What a confession. I don't know about you, BJ, but I am humbled and moved to be in the presence of this confession. Michelle.
And what I mean by that is that I want to.
Right.
No, what I want to say for me, okay, because my husband never wanted to be a dad or a husband either, and he has been, such a steadfast husband and dad that I haven't always appreciated his steadfastness because I didn't recognize it from my viewpoint of a mother who's, doing the dishes, cleaning the house, wiping their butt, bathing them, making sure the bills are, in the place, or whatever we all do at the house constantly, okay? And then you look at your husband and he's sitting on the couch watching TV, eating chips or something. And you're just like, what? I'm still doing all this stuff, and why are you taking a break? But then I'm thinking about all the stuff that he does behind the scenes all the time. So it's like appreciate. We all have these roles that we play, and sometimes we get in these role play things that aren't helpful. But everyone has a role to play in a family, and there's no there's no rule for it. But as a mom and as a wife or a partner, I just want to acknowledge how important men are in a family. If you're lucky to have a husband or a spouse that you love and that you have a great, not everybody has that, but if you do, I think for me, I really have been working at appreciating what he brings to the picnic, because it's so much. Men bring so much to the picnic for the children, for the wife, and as we grow as human beings, as we work on ourselves, that just expands even bigger, right?
So that's going to be the next record
Yeah,
for written about BJ and me.
I think so. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Mama, I want you to actually jump in. Actually, I think there's a great connection there to that next verse.
Okay.
So will you jump in
Yep.
and read that
Yes.
for us, and we'll kind of.
Actually, I want Mikey to read it. The second verse.
Second verse. It's in my old ancient eyes here. There will be times I'll disappoint you. There will be times when tears will fall. And in those times, when you are lonely, I hope you know I'm just a call. It's the rhyme point.
Yeah.
Away. And when the search for what your heart wants isn't always what you've planned, I'll be the light inside your darkness. I'll be the love that understands. The stars above you will come and go. I'm here to love you. That's all I know.
That's powerful. So we hope, there's so much, we kind of went down a few different tracks here. I think what I love here is that there's this consistent message both in the relationship between the mother and her child. There's this relationship we talked about now with the partner, the spouse, and the mother. There is this ongoing reality that all of us, because of our discovery, our child's discovery of themselves, your discovery of yourself, and those who are also in relationship to you, who are also discovering themselves
Yes.
personally,
Yes.
but also in relation to who you're becoming.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And that we can all settle on, hopefully, one solution, which is to default to love, and us knowing that that's all we know. So I hope you at least have received a message that makes it clear that your journey of motherhood is still your journey, not just your kid's journey, and that you are on your path that your child is on, but your child might be serving as a bit of a, let's say, a bit of igniter toward what is going forward for you, but that your journey is still special, and you're almost like we said earlier, that you're not just a mom, right? Motherhood might be this big, very personally defining role, but it's still your discovery of you. And I hope that hope that makes sense, and I hope more importantly that's a beautiful thing for you. Mom, anything you want to say?
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for being in this conversation and for helping me write these amazing songs. And I hope that this project, these songs, I hope that whatever you need, I hope you find some solace and some peace and some calm and some nurturing in this project. That's been my hope. That's my dream. And as we do these podcasts and maybe some roundtable talks with a lot of other moms, that you find some place in there to feel nurtured, loved, seen, and just know that even though I don't personally know you yet, and maybe I will one day, that I am wrapping my arms around all of you mothers, because mothers are the bedrock of our society. And when we have healthy, happy moms, we have healthy, happy societies. And that is my prayer, that we can be healthy and happy, and our spouses will appreciate it. They will benefit. Our children will benefit. And I thank you for showing up and coming and watching. And I look forward to the next time. I hope you'll come back again, and we'll write some more stuff, I guess.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, you can actually stream That's All I Know right now on Apple Music or Spotify or wherever you enjoy music on streaming platforms. And then you can also go to mamaslullaby.com and actually purchase this album that contains That's All I Know and many other lullabies that these two and many others have written with you in mind. And we look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Mama's Lullaby Podcast.
Yes. Thanks so much for stopping by.
A gentle rain outside my window. The moon is full, the night is clear. Feeling lost, feeling lonely. How can that be when you're right here? I was so sure before you came here. I was so sure I knew it all. Now that you've come, nothing's the same here. How strange and new to feel so small. The stars above you will come and go. I'm here to love you.